Welcome back into the Sky Pod for episode 2 of this wild journey that I have embarked on. I appreciate all the love and support that you guys have given me throughout the first episode. I want to give a huge shout out to everyone that I served with, and I appreciate the feedback and also the conversations that we had about life outside the military and what it is to be a veteran in the United States of America. And I'm going to continue to refer to my life experiences and how we can bounce ideas off each other so we can better each other on this journey together. Got a lot to cover this week. A lot happened during the week, and I want to kick it off with the NFL draft. So throughout all media platforms, the story was Shedeur. You couldn't run away from it. The slide, how he fell to the 5th round, the Browns picking him up, now adding a 5th quarterback to their roster. I want to cover a couple things about the draft. The NFL set an example out of Shedeur Sanders with the lack of humility, the lack of preparation going into these interviews. There was a leak that came out about Shedeur through an anonymous source that he had a bad interview with Brian Daboll. He gave him an insert of the offense to study. He happened not to study that. Daboll called him out on it, and Shedeur didn't like it, and neither did Daboll. So let's just put things into perspective here. Shedeur Sanders is obviously the son of Deion Sanders. You're going to get that swagger. You're going to get that confidence, which is going to come off as arrogance. And NFL teams don't want to deal with that, period. They made an example out of him, and hopefully it humbles the kid because that's a huge thing. That's the first thing I want to cover. It wasn't like it wasn't self-inflicted because it was. But here's the caveat to it. If you're going to hold the character eval against Shedeur Sanders, then let's talk about Cam Ward, the number 1 overall pick to the Titans. Because it seemed like nobody brought up something that I thought was maybe a huge character red flag. About 3 to 4 months ago, Cam Ward, after he broke the record for the most touchdowns as a quarterback in FBS history, benched himself in a tight-knit bowl game versus number 18 Iowa State. There are guys on that football team who aren't NIL guys, who aren't going to go pro. They are playing their last downs of football ever. And your best player, after breaking the record, prioritized his health and his draft stock and said, you know what? I'm good. I'm not going to play anymore. Now, as a GM, as a head coach, why isn't that a caution? Why isn't that a skirt? Why wasn't that talked about during the draft? Why wasn't that held against Cam Ward in the same light that Shedeur Sanders in his character evaluation was held against him? What, because he has potential? Because what he could be at his apex? He played 5 years of college football. 5. Entered the draft, didn't like where he was going to go the year prior and bet on himself, and he doubled down, and that was great. But I hate the way things are written in stories and how we'll inflate one guy because you might not like the way he carries himself. Oh, but this guy's okay. We're just going to skim over what he did during a bowl game. Make it make sense, dog. Because that, to me, is ludicrous. Dylan Gabriel was drafted before Shedeur Sanders. Jalen Milroe was drafted before Shedeur Sanders. Tyler Shaw was drafted before Shedeur Sanders. And Jackson Dart was drafted before Shedeur Sanders. And I'm going to tell you all right now, I don't think none of those guys, besides Cam Ward, is absolutely, without a doubt, objectively better than Shedeur Sanders. Shedeur Sanders is a better thrower of the ball than all those guys named before Cam Ward. He's more accurate than those guys. He had no offensive line at Colorado, had no time to throw the ball. So it's really hard to evaluate the tape for what it is when the guy had to hold on to the ball. He had to play off script. He had to do certain things to allow his team to stay in games because he didn't have the front seven he needed to be the best version of himself. That's just what it is. Now, don't give me the comparisons between Johnny Manziel and Mike Evans with Travis Hunter and Shedeur Sanders. Don't do it. Because I'm going to hurt your feelings really fast here. LeJounte Wester, who was a receiver for the University of Colorado, caught 74 balls last season, 10 touchdowns, and 931 yards. That's spreading the ball out to a different receiver. Let's not forget Jimmy Horn Jr., deep threat, going to have a long career in football, got hurt in the middle of the season. So don't give me Shedeur can't spread the ball around, because he can. He doesn't need Travis Hunter. He can still put that production up without these star players. Now, also take into consideration that as a quarterback, you need good players to play your best football. You can't name any great quarterback in college or NFL without having a great team around him. So let's not play that game of, oh, he's good because of this, and he had this, and he had that. No, maybe he's just a really good quarterback who got humbled during the NFL draft and might be good for him. Now there's no expectations of him. Now there's a chip on his shoulder again, and you've had guys who've been disrespected in the draft. You've heard of Aaron Rodgers? He turned out okay. Oh, he's arrogant. He's aloof. Great quarterback. I'm just saying. Now let's touch on a point here before we move away from Shedeur Sanders. The Browns now have 5 quarterbacks: Deshaun Watson, Joe Flacco, Dylan Gabriel, Kenny Pickett, and Shedeur Sanders. And here's the kicker. None of them are better than Baker Mayfield, and you're never going to live that up, Cleveland. Ever. Worst decision in football in the last 15 years. You paid a guy $231 million in Deshaun Watson, while the other guy puts up 70 touchdowns over the last 2 seasons. He had a historic season last year in Tampa Bay, and now you got 5 quarterbacks when you could have kept the guy you originally drafted at number 1 overall. Ha, 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 ha. Anyways, let's pivot to Travis Hunter. I'm very confused why the Jaguars jumped up to draft him in the top 5 of the NFL draft. So we've glorified this guy for playing both sides of the ball. Well, he can play DB and he can play wide receiver, and he wants to do that in the NFL. He wants to play every down. Okay. So usually when you draft a guy in the top 5 of the draft, he's really elite at something. He can do something very well. So let's analyze this. Let's break this down. So maybe the Jaguars drafted him because he's a really good receiver. Okay. Well, that's not what the analytics show. Last year in college football, there was 10 guys in terms of production and the way they were rated out in the field better than him. Jeremiah Smith at Ohio State University, better wide receiver. Ryan Williams, Alabama, 17 years old, better wide receiver than Travis Hunter. Jordan Tyson, Arizona State University, better wide receiver. Elijah Stewart at Indiana, in terms of production, better wide receiver. Eric Singleton Jr. at Auburn, better wide receiver. All guys who are rated at him on numerous outlets and sources on ESPN in different places. Rated ahead of the kid. Okay, so he's not the best at wide receiver. Well, he's got to be the best at DB, right? Because you drafted him top 5, kid. Okay, let's compare the DBs. Well, Malachi Starks from the University of Georgia had a better season than Travis Hunter. Will Johnson, if he didn't have those degenerative knee issues, he would have been a top 5 pick. He was a better DB than him. Caleb Downs, Ohio State University, was a better DB than Travis Hunter. And Leonard Moore, in terms of production, better corner back at that position than Travis Hunter. So here's my question to everybody. What does this guy do very well? Am I lost? Are we just talking about being athletically gifted in elite ball skills? Is that all you need now to be a top 5 draft pick? I'm confused. And the Jaguars, you didn't draft him because he was really good at something. You drafted him to sell tickets. You drafted him to put fans in the stands. Oh, man, that's not good. You drafted him to put fans in the stands. So, with that being said, you have a quarterback that's in the top 3 of earnings in the NFL, and you have a problem there because he's already having trouble processing what he is seeing on the field. Already having a problem. Doug Peterson won a Super Bowl with Nick Foles. And Jaguar fans, I hate to say it, he's not the problem. So you would think you draft a guy maybe to protect him, or maybe that's really good at the receiver position or the tight end position, or maybe draft a running back to take the pressure off him. No, you drafted a guy who we have glorified over hype. That is not a good business decision, because your quarterback who's making $275 million or whatever he's making, now you better hope he hits. You better hope he helps him in terms of progression, because now you just gave up a top 5 pick that might or might not do Trevor Lawrence well, might not help him out. And that's who you need to be building around. Just my opinion. So we're going to transition over from the NFL draft, and we're going to move into the NBA playoffs. The Warriors beat the Rockets last night in Game 3. Steph Curry had finished the game with 36 points. All the while, they were without their second best player in Jimmy Butler. So, I don't think hot takes are alive anymore. I think they're dead. I don't think it's it doesn't make content pop, but I'm going to say this confidently right in front of the camera. Hold on. Anyways, I'm calling the last 10 years of the National Basketball Association the Steph Curry era. What did you say? I'll repeat it. I'm calling the last 10 years of the National Basketball Association the Steph Curry era. And don't give me LeBron James, because I grew up on impact on winning, resume. Did you change the game? So let's compare the two. Steph Curry is 3-1 against LeBron James in the finals. He's 17-11 against LeBron James in the postseason. He has a higher three-point percentage, which is an obvious fact to state, but he also has a higher true shooting percentage than LeBron James. And let's take into consideration that he takes more difficult shots. Steph Curry is the first of his kind. You've never seen a Steph Curry. Back when I was growing up playing youth basketball, or if you ever watched any high school, collegiate, professional basketball before Steph Curry, if you attempted to play the way that man plays, you'd be on a milk carton. You'd be MIA. You would never, ever be heard from again. The coach would look at you and say, hey, get out. This guy has completely changed the way coaches scheme on the defense. Changed it. It is bad defense when that man comes up the court and you don't put a hand up at 40 feet. That is a fact. That is an absolute fact. He has eliminated the traditional big man as we know it. The Wilt Chamberlains, the Bill Russells, the Shaquille O'Neals, the Dwight Howards, they're gone. If you're a 5 or you're a 4, you got to be able to shoot the 3 ball. You have to. And that's Steph. The 3-point attempts in the league are because of Steph. You've never seen a player like that. Ever. You've seen a LeBron James. You have. He was Magic Johnson. Except LeBron shoots a better 3 ball. He shoots a better jump shot. And he shoots better on the ball than Magic Johnson. That is the only difference. Oversized for their position? Yes. Elite basketball knowledge? Yes. Facilitators? Yes. You've seen LeBron. LeBron didn't change the game. And another thing, Steph didn't run away from the competition. He didn't run away from the competition. He has won 4 championships, 2 MVPs, one unanimously in the place that drafted him. LeBron couldn't beat the big 3 in Boston. All right, you know what? I got to leave. It's like modern day now. It could be in relationships. It could be jobs. If things aren't going well, I'm not going to stay and work on it. I'm going to go find where the grass is greener. LeBron defines that. He went to Miami, played, couldn't beat Paul Pierce, Kevin Garnett, Ray Allen, Rajon Rondo. Went to Miami, plays with Dwayne Wade, Chris Paul, top 75 players. Wins 2 championships. That ship was sinking. Okay, I'm going to go jump to Cleveland. Play with Kevin Love and Kyrie Irving. Okay, Kyrie wants out. I'm going to go jump ship here and go to the Lakers. I'm going to trade away all the youth to go grab Anthony Davis. I got 1 championship. Well, the juice is almost out of here. I'm going to get rid of AD, and then I'm going to go grab Luka Doncic. Stephen Curry has won 4 championships with 2 different versions of that team. He won with Clay and Draymond. He won with KD, Draymond, and Clay. And now, with Jimmy Butler, he might win a 5th championship with 3 versions of a team. And don't give me, the 3-1 in the finals, comparing rosters and situations. Those are things that you can't objectively prove. They're opinions. He's 3-1 against LeBron James, the guy you say is better than Jordan in the finals. He has the same amount of rings as LeBron James. They played in the same era. You can't confidently say it's LeBron's era where there's a guy who's spanking his hiney in the finals and has the same amount of rings. I'm not talking one-on-one basketball. That's outrageous. We know who would win. I'm talking about resume, impact on winning, and how did you impact the game. Anyways, now I'm going to move into life after the Army because I feel like that's important to me and that's something that I hold dear to my heart, and I want to be able to have these conversations because it's therapeutic. It helps me just get through my day. So on average in 2024, 22 veterans still killed themselves per day in the United States of America. And I think a big problem is coming out of the Army and trying to reintegrate is the negative stereotypes and perceptions around veterans. It's a huge thing, man. It's why the veterans isolate themselves from people and they have a hard time forming relationships outside of the Army. It's different when you leave the Army because you're coming from a place of high values, culture, standards, discipline. It's not like that out here. It's just not. So my biggest piece of advice to maybe guys who are struggling still, or women struggling, is love yourself, man. And I know that sounds super PC and super obvious, but love yourself. Not everyone's going to understand you. And if you continue to try to force perspective on people who don't understand you, you're just draining yourself of energy you could put in different places. Love yourself. Not everyone's going to understand you, and that's okay. You got to surround yourself with people with the growth mindset. And I do believe if you find a different purpose in your life, whatever purpose that is, mine right now is this content creation. I want to be in this competitive space. I want to have a voice in this game, and it's given me purpose. But not everyone's going to understand you. So find that different purpose, and it's going to be astronomical in your character development, in your personal growth. And understand this. The Army, the Air Force, the Navy, the Marines, whatever you did in the military, it was just a chapter in your life. That's it. It was just a chapter. And you have the rest of your life still to write different stories. And you can make them just as meaningful and you can be just as fulfilled. You got to give it a chance. And the moment you start living for yourself and you're able to remove yourself from other people, I promise you, you'll be at peace. Because there's always going to be an opinion. People aren't going to understand you. They're going to try to shit on you. And that is a reflection of their character, not yours. Continue to work hard, do right by the ones that you love, and I promise you things will fall into place. And I'm living proof of it. I promise you. I'm going to end the podcast off with this final quote by Maya Angelou that is near and dear to my heart, and then we'll go from there. You may encounter many defeats in your life, but you must not be defeated. In fact, it may be necessary to encounter those defeats so you know who you are, what you can rise from, and how you can still come out of it. Thank you for watching the Sky Pod. I love everybody that's tuned in and reached out to me after the first episode. I appreciate y'all. If y'all want to do me a favor, just click the links below or follow my Instagram, my Facebook, and my YouTube. Just keep showing that love and support. And again, I love y'all. Chance, Crashy, Papa love you. There goes this.